goes.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday morning edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Sander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, fresh off a report that kind of broke Eagle Land yesterday, Johnny Mac. Calcified is the big word I'm hearing all over the land. How you doing on this Thursday morning, my friend?
Calcified, yeah. Typical of the so much pushback, and they're all blaming poor Tim and Jeremy Fowler. And I'm like, come on, guys, can we stop with that? Can we stop with the baby ears for 10 seconds? I do not. You went through this with poor Joe Santoliquito, my buddy. You went through this. Everything was true. Everything is true here. Get over it. It's not that big of a deal.
I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be frank with you. I really don't.
It's not.
I mean, I don't think it looks great, though. I will admit that, and there is clearly a lot of truth in the article, which I don't push back on.
Well, that's
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
How can anybody watch this team over the past 2 years, including the Super Bowl year, and say the passing offense isn't good? And all you did as fans was complain. There's got to be more motion. You got to go under center. Guy doesn't want to go under. He doesn't like motion. Doesn't want to go under center. It's what we've been saying for years. It's not what he's comfortable with. It smacks you in the face every Sunday afternoon or Saturday or Friday or Thursday or Wednesday, whatever day they're playing on.
Right.
So I mean, come on. Can we at least have an honest discussion? That's all I'm asking. Like there's a shitload of good about Jalen Hurts. A shitload of good. But there's obvious negatives to Jalen Hurts in the skill set in the passing game. I mean, who's arguing that at this point? And why? And by the way, from the biggest, when I think about this, the biggest part of it that I still can't understand is why the Eagles have gotten to this point and said, we're going to make this guy do the shit he's not good at.
That's the biggest question coming off this article, John. Is it going to look as much as a change as much as we think it's going to change?
Again, we got to wait and see. I've said it from day one. You better hope not. You better hope not. That shouldn't be your goal.
All right, John, the aftermath of this a day later, yesterday when we did our show, we read this thing like literally 10 to 15 minutes before our program. Now that you've kind of seen some of the reaction to it, I'm sure you've had a chance to digest and read the piece in its entirety, maybe once or twice over yourself. What is kind of your aftermath or a day later thought process on what came out? Did anything else stick out to you? What's most important in the piece to you? What's not so important in the piece to you that maybe is getting an overreaction? Where's Johnny Mac a day later after reading this thing yesterday?
Well, I just gave you the biggest thing. I think people are missing the boat on what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles, not Jalen Hurts, with the Philadelphia Eagles, who seem to be at a crossroads. And I know the article was Jalen Hurts stands at a crossroads. Well, he doesn't have to. The Eagles are standing at a crossroad. And they have seemingly made the decision that, we can't win the way we've won before, so we're going to change this. And, there's where I fundamentally disagree with the organization. And I don't think that's going to work out well, to be frank, if that's the way they're going to go. They made this decision in the past and backed off it, so there's a possibility. But for all the stuff about the offense, I mean, you could go through a year of Birds 365, and you've heard all this stuff pretty consistently. I'm sorry, you have, to the point where I said there was a gleam in the eye of Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni when Tanner McKee was playing in Week 18. You remember when I said that?
Yeah,
because They're just excited to be able to do some things in a conventional fashion. Not it was about he's better or just that, he's gonna run the system, and that sort of gives them a little bit of a juice late in the season. Um, but the under center stuff, the motion, I've said it a million times. You build around the quarterback. It's ironic with Philip Rivers, they didn't use motion in Indianapolis because he doesn't want motion. Nobody cares. Why do you care so much here? Like, people are arguing about styles of football. I get it. You want a higher octane passing offense. You could bench him tomorrow and play Tanner McKee and get a higher octane passing offense. You're not going to be as good. So I get the standpoint of people not liking the way the offense looks, and it's ugly, especially in the passing game at times. I'm not going to argue that because it is. So you have to come to the conclusion of what do you want personally as a fan? And the Eagles have got to come to their Jesus moment. What do you really want? You want to smile on a Sunday afternoon because there's 300 yards on the scoreboard passing and a couple touchdowns and you lose 31-28, or what do you want? Or you want the largest span of good football in the modern era of Philadelphia Eagles history to continue? What do you want?
Well, I mean, if they had a better passing offense, does that guarantee that they're not as good? I don't think so. I mean, they still have a great defense. I mean, they still have, other components of the team that wouldn't change in theory if we dreamed of a passing offense that was, I don't know, call it top 10, top 15.
I agree with you, but you have the quarterback you have.
Right.
That's what I'm working off of. Not would I like insert name. Not he can do this because I think he can do it.
Right. This is all the ingredients in the soup. This is what we get. This level of success. Not all ingredients add up to this. Is I think your point.
Yeah. What and he doesn't add up to 300 yards passing consistently, nor should anyone want him to. But
anything in the report, John, that you thought was damning? I mean, yesterday you said you didn't really see it as a scathing piece.
I don't consider it a hit piece at all.
I don't think it's a hit piece. A hit piece means, put out there for maximum effect. I don't think it's a hit piece. Hit piece is
well. I got that from a lot of fans. Yes,
but is it damning? I think some people. I think it is damning to some people. I mean, I heard some, Colin Coward, or take it what you will, referring to it as reminds me of Russell Wilson Seahawks. Where after the Super Bowl, he's the one getting all the accolades, the TVs, the commercials, the magazine covers, everything like that, and people inside the building maybe are rubbed a certain way. Hey, maybe that's regular human emotion, and they're at fault for that too. You can't blame Jalen Hurts for that, but.
What? I didn't hear that, but I mean, you're the quarterback of the Super Bowl champions. You get all the endorsements. I mean, that's how it works.
I know. But sometimes that rubs people the wrong way.
Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, yada, yada, yada. I mean, yeah, that's, like I said, I didn't hear what he said, but that doesn't, I mean, is there a natural jealousy? Yeah, sure. I mean, I saw, people say sources have agendas. Well, yeah, duh. People have agendas. Every human being you cross the street on today has an agenda. Of course, sources have agendas. Everybody has an agenda. The Eagles have an agenda. Jalen Hurts has an agenda. Sources have an agenda that are criticizing the offense. Sources that say, it's going to be great, have an agenda. Every single one of them. Human beings have agendas. So, from the standpoint of all the offensive stuff, it's interesting to get some clarity on the actual fourth down play. But, that was my presumption. You run the play because that's what the play was. I said it on the show. That's what he's comfortable with. It's exactly how it went. It went. So it's good to get clarification and confirmation of that. The motion stuff we've talked about ad nauseum. Yeah, he doesn't like it. Under
Do you
center,
think some of this came from maybe a coach who's no longer here, Patullo, or maybe Stoutland, or maybe a disgruntled coach out there who's left and doesn't like the way things ended? Do you think that's possible here? And
I don't. I know. I see the Sabruder people and the goopballs out. Oh, it's got to be this guy or this guy. That's why I said sources have. Of course, sources have agendas. Everybody has agendas. The people doing that have an agenda to frame things positively for their favorite player.
right.
Everybody has an agenda. So obviously, some of the things they got on the play, there's only a certain amount of people that could have given them that information. So, chase your sources, but I'm not going to, it's not my, as a journalist, I'm not going to question somebody else's sources, but, yeah, I mean, sources have agendas. Everybody has agendas. Everybody framing things positively for Jalen Hurts has an agenda. Coaches are certainly, certain coaches are probably disgruntled always when they get fired. That's what happens when people get fired. Human nature. Stout obviously wasn't happy. I don't think he has anything to do with this.
Well, that was actually part of Colin Cowherd's point. He says when people start losing their jobs or jobs are on the line, the truth is going to start to come out. I think that's a fair point. I don't know that doesn't mean that his perspective was correct, but I do think that.
Well, I mean, you're more likely to toe the organizational line when you're employed than when you're not employed. That's fair to say. But yeah, I mean, that's common, I told people months ago, Kellen Moore wasn't upset that he left.
No, you said that a long time ago. Yes, you did. John, what's the ripple effect of this inside